Becoming a nurse in New Zealand used to be pretty straightforward journey, but since December 2023, the process has gotten a bit trickier. I remember when I went through, it felt manageable, but today there are a few more steps and consideration you need to know. It's still worth it. Do you know that as a nurse in New Zealand, you earn competitive salaries with new grads starting from over $66,000 and experienced nurses making up to $100,000 or more in a year? You also enjoy great work-life balance, subsidized healthcare, a pathway to permanent residency, and here is the kicker. Once you become a nurse in New Zealand, you can easily register to work in Australia thanks to the Trans-Tasman Mutual Recognition Agreement. So in this video, I'll walk you through the step-by-step of how you can become a registered nurse in New Zealand. Without wasting my time, let's get in. Alright, so welcome back everybody. If today is your first time, my name is Manuel, and on this platform I talk about nursing, conferences, nursing registration, job opportunities, and so much more. Today we are coming to talk about New Zealand. Now before we start, can you please take a moment of your time, like this video and subscribe to the channel? It helps us a lot. Now, as I always do, let's look at why we have to work in New Zealand as a nurse, and I've made some points here that I want us to go through quickly before we go on to the registration itself. Let me sip some water. I'm feeling hot. Now, the first reason is the quality of life. New Zealand has consistently ranked as one of the best places to live, from the scenery to the lifestyle to its peaceful, clean and family-friendly environment. Now, the second reason why you have to work in New Zealand is the great pay and work conditions. Nurses are paid well, as I mentioned in the intro. The salaries are so much for nurses, and also the shifts are regulated to ensure good work balance. So you don't have to juggle your shift and your personal lifestyle. No, the shifts are regulated to make sure that you do not overwork yourself. Now, the third reason is the diverse culture. Many healthcare teams are made up of nurses from India, Philippines, Ghana, Nigeria, United Kingdom, United States, and so many other places. So you're not going to feel lonely. No, because we have nurses coming up from different parts of the world. And another great reason why you have to become a nurse in New Zealand is the pathway to permanent residency. Nursing is on the green list, meaning that when you become a nurse in New Zealand, you are eligible for residency after you have secured your job. And also, let's look at the public health care. It's so robust. The public health system in New Zealand is so strong that it will cater for you and your family with very little cost. Now, let's look at paid leaves. You enjoy 4 weeks of annual paid leave, and also you have up to 12 days of sick pay leaves, and you also have paid parental leave and public holidays. Now let's talk about work balance and average shifts for nurses in New Zealand. If you are a nurse in New Zealand, you work between 8 hours to 10 hours. You are not going to overstretch your body to work 12 hours continuously for a day or two. No, the maximum you are going to work is 8 to 10 hours. Yes, and that is a very good one because there is work-life balance for nurses who wants to work there. And also the full time is typically 32 hours to 40 hours and not 42 hours to 48 hours as we've seen in some countries. So employers encourage leave, and burnout prevention is always a priority among nurses. Now let's look at family support. If you become a nurse in New Zealand, there is always support for you and your family. This means that you and your family will be able to move to New Zealand and start your job. Now, your children are also going to enjoy free education in public schools if you find your way to New Zealand. Yes, there's a lot of advantages of working in New Zealand, and I'm not going to say anymore, but wait, let me talk about the Trans-Tasman Mutual Recognition Agreement. Now, this is a game changer because if you are a nurse in New Zealand, you also qualify to register as a nurse in Australia with some few registration process. It's not the actual registration process that is going to take a whole lot of time. It's just filling in your New Zealand details on a website, you pay the fees, and voila, you become a registered nurse in Australia. So as you know, I'm a nurse in New Zealand, and potentially I'm also a nurse in Australia. This is one of the good reasons why you have to consider working in New Zealand. I always hear people say working in Australia or New Zealand is very far, but the only question that I ask is, are you going to walk to New Zealand or are you going to walk to Australia? You're not even going to drive or go by car. You're just going to sit in an airplane and you go to these countries too. Right, so I'm going to go through the step-by-step process, and after I have finished, we go on to their website to go and familiarize ourselves yourself with the whole thing, how you go through the eligibility checklist that they have implemented on their website to see whether we are going to write an exam or we are going to skip these exams. You go through that very soon, but let me quickly take you through the 6 steps involved in relocating as a nurse. Now, the first step is to check your eligibility criteria with New Zealand Nursing Council, which we will do very soon. And the second step is to apply through CGFNS credentialing services to get your CES report over to the NMC in New Zealand, and they will send you an invite to start the whole process. Now, note that if you already done a CGF evaluation and you have a CES report, you don't need to go through the process again. You just have to tell CGFNS or True Merit United States of America to send your report to CGFNS New Zealand, and they are going to send it to them, and you are going to start the process straight away without sending any documents to your school or your NMC. Now, the third step is to apply for registration with NMC New Zealand, and also after True Merit or CGFNS has sent your report to NMC New Zealand, you can apply, and you may be required to undergo a CAP program, which is the Competency Assessment Programme, and you go through this, and after you've done the eligibility check, you know whether you go through this or not. And also the other step that is involved in this process is a short bridging program when you are in New Zealand, and this usually takes 6 to 12 weeks, and this is something that you will do when you go to New Zealand. And also you will get your job offer after you've gotten your PIN and everything. You apply for your visa, and the 6th point is you move to New Zealand. Now let's go on to their website to see how the whole process is like. So you go into your search bar and you're going to type NMC New Zealand. Let me add International Nurses Registration. All right, so when it opens up like this, you go onto the International Qualified Nurses link, and when it opens up, voila. So this is how their interface is, and you can see a whole lot of points and sub points, but you just ignore all of them and you skip onto the internationally qualified nurses section. And it says that you may apply to become a nurse in New Zealand if you are currently registered with an overseas regulatory authority and meet the Nursing Council requirements. And it says that if you are a nurse with a current practicing certificate in Australia, you want to apply here. So they have a different link for people who are already nurses or midwives in Australia. And also in this video, midwives are included. So if you're a registered midwife and you want to apply to the register as a midwife in New Zealand, you have to contact the Midwifery Council of New Zealand. So you're just going to click on this link. Now, this process that we are going to do is specifically for nurses. Now, if you're a midwife, just click on the Midwifery Council of Nursing of New Zealand link that is showing here. So if you're a nurse, you're going to go through these stages. The first stage is verifying your documents, and the second stage is apply to become a registered nurse. Now, below this second step, the last point says is competent assessment, and it says some nurses will be required to undergo a competence assessment. Now, we are going to use the self-assessment tool to check whether some nurses in Ghana, Nigeria, or the UK or Canada will undergo these competence assessment. Now, as I said earlier, the first step involved in this whole registration process involves you registering with CGFNS. So you send all your documents to CGFNS, you create an account, and you send your documents to them. If you don't know how to go through this, I have done a step-by-step video of how to register with CGFNS or True Merit. I'll leave it in the description and also leave it at the end of the video. And also, if you need help, I'll leave Tilly Young NCLEX Pro solution. She will take you through all these registrations at a fee. But if you want to do it yourself, just watch my video and you will be able to do it yourself. So after you've registered with CGFNS and you send your documents to them, they are going to release a CES report, and this CES report will be sent to NMC New Zealand, and NMC New Zealand will send you an email and invite you to register with them. So if you register with NMC New Zealand, it is there that you go through all these checks, and the first thing that they would like you to do is that you must complete 2 free online courses introducing you to culturally safe nursing practices in New Zealand, and also they will ask you to undergo a fitness to practice checks, which is basically a police clearance, and also all nurses are required to undergo a criminal history check, as I said. And then the competence assessment. So it says that some nurses will be required to undergo a competence assessment, and we are going to use the self-assessment tool to see if you might require a competence test. And also, if you need a competence assessment, you will find out what it means below. It says that you cannot apply directly to the council, as True Merit or CGFNS must first verify your documents, as I said earlier. So let's use the self-assessment tool to check if we will need a competent assessment done or not. If I click on the self-assessment tool, this is how it's going to show up. It says that this self-assessment tool will help you identify which of the nursing council's criteria you meet, and if you may be required to undertake a test of competency to register as a nurse in New Zealand. And also it says that you must have also meet the requirements such as demonstrating that you can communicate effectively in English, and if you are fit for registration and practice. You have to see their requirements. And also it said that the council is refining the process and your steps to the registration may have changed. For those internationally qualified nurses who apply through merit prior to 1st of July 2024, your pathway remains the same. So people like me who registered before this time, we went through a smooth process. We didn't do any exam. We just did some 2 online courses and we paid some fees, did the police checks and got our PIN. But now the process has changed, and if you are someone living overseas, you have to check whether you will need a competence assessment. Now enough of the talking, let's start the assessment. So they have 2 options. The first one is I'm currently registered with an overseas regulatory authority, and the other one says I'm not currently registered with an overseas regulatory authority. All right, so if this is you, if you are overseas, if you're in Ghana or if you're in Nigeria, if you're in the UK, you are going to click on I am currently registered with an overseas regulatory authority, because you are outside of New Zealand and you'll be considered overseas. Now if I click on that, the next question is my nursing education that led me to the registration was completed in one of the following: USA, UK, Ireland, Singapore, British Columbia, Ontario provinces, or Canada. Now these countries have been given some freedom in the New Zealand process, that they skip the exams for them because they think that their training is compatible with that of New Zealand. So let's say that I am someone from Ghana, so I'll just say my nursing education that led me to the registration was not completed in one of the following countries, that is USA. Yes, so I'll click on this one, and the next question says that I have a bachelor degree in nursing or higher master's degree that led me to my registration as a nurse overseas. And if you don't have any bachelor's and if you have a diploma, you click on this one. But let's say that I have a bachelor. And the next one, I have completed at least 1,008 hours of work as a registered nurse. Yes. All right, it says that the answers you have given indicate that you will have to complete the test of competence, that is the theory exam and the clinical exam, which is the OSCE, to become registered. This is what I'm going to do. Now let me start the process again. This time I said that I have a degree. Now let's say that when I start again, I'll choose that I have a diploma, and let's see what it will say. So I click on I'm currently registered. Yes, my nursing was not completed in this. I do not have a bachelor degree. Yes, I have an overseas nursing qualification such as diploma, not degree or higher, that led me to the registration. Yes, I have completed 1,800 of work as a registered nurse. Yes. All right, it says that the answers you have given indicate that your qualifications must be assessed by the nursing council assessors to confirm if it meets the standard for educational equivalence before you can become eligible. If the qualification is not equivalent to New Zealand prescribed qualifications and does not meet our standard by nursing council assessors, then it is unlikely you'll be eligible for registration as a registered nurse, but you may be registered as an enrolled nurse. So they are saying that if you're a diploma nurse, they have to allow their assessors to go through your documents to see that whether you will be considered to write the OSCE and the CBT exam. But if after everything they see that your education is not compatible with them, they are going to enroll you as an enrolled nurse. Okay, now you can start the assessment again. You can do it as much as you want, and let's do it for people who are also in countries like the United Kingdom. So let's say we are yes, my nursing education that led me to registration was completed in one of the following countries. Yes, I have worked 1,008 always yes. So it says that the answers you have given indicate that you may not have to complete the test of competence, that is the theory exam, and the OSCE to become registered. So this is the bias that they have for people working in these countries. And sorry if you are someone in countries like Ghana, Nigeria, most of the African countries, in fact all the African countries, you have to go through the CBT and the OSCE exams. And if you are not fortunate, if you don't have a degree, you might probably be accepted as an enrolled nurse. But I know that you'll be accepted to become a registered nurse, because I remember I used my diploma in doing this. But what worked for me was the fact that I was also in the United Kingdom, and I added that to my application. So you can try, but this is also a good time for you to get a top-up degree. If you are still having your diploma, it's a good time to elevate your career. All right, so that is about with the assessment and how you will have to go through the whole process. Now let's look at their English language requirement. It says that the most common way to provide proof of English is through OET and IELTS. And for the OET, it says that you must achieve a minimum score of 350 for reading, listening, and speaking, and a minimum score of 300 for writing. And when it comes to the IELTS academic, you must achieve a minimum score of 7 for reading, listening, and speaking, and a minimum score of 6.5 for writing. And it says that you can achieve the minimum score of English language test over more than one sitting. However, the required scores must be achieved within 12 months of first sitting the test, and all sittings must be completed within the 3 years prior to your application to the New Zealand NMC. Now let's look at the cost of the exam, because this is one of the most expensive nursing bodies ever since I started this is one of the most expensive ones. Now let's look at the cost involving this. Let me click on the registration cost, and it will take me to where the costs are. Now for the CGFNS or the True Merit evaluation, you are going to pay $380 for that. The international criminal check is 150 Australian dollars, and also when you sit for the exam is $140 for the CBT exam, which involves the Part A and the Part B. And if you are not lucky and you are going to do a resit, you are going to pay $32 as well. And these are all in New Zealand dollars. And when it comes to the OSCE exams, you are going to pay 500 New Zealand dollars for preparation and orientation of the course, and you are also going to pay 3,000 New Zealand dollars for the entire OSCE exams. If you are not lucky and you fail, you are going to pay the full cost of 3,000 New Zealand dollars. This is very expensive. Now let me see if I can put all of these together and give you a figure. So 140 plus 500 plus 3,000, that is 3,600 New Zealand dollars. Let me convert that to US dollars. New Zealand dollars to US. All right, so the entire cost of the exams is 2,206 United States dollars. That is for the CBT exam, the OSCE exams, and the orientation and preparation cost for the exam. Now let me add the $380, which is the True Merit fee, to it. Okay, so this plus 380 is going to be 2,586 and 159 Australian dollars. So let me add 159 Australian dollars, Australian to US. So 103, so this 103. And the total is going to be 2,689. So the total cost of all these registration process is 2,689.96 US dollars. And we have not even talked about the fact that you're going to fly to the country, your visa fees, your plane fees and everything, your accommodation and everything. When you add all of these, this is going to amount, I think, closely to $5,000. So if this is something that you can afford, you might have to give it a second thought, because when you become a nurse in New Zealand, of course, you are going to reap all the monies that you have spent in your registration. Well, now the process might be a little more structured than when I applied, how it used to be, but you don't have to get discouraged. You have to go for it. I always say that if you have any goal, go for it, because we have only one life, and it will be very sad that we will get old and thinking that we wanted to do this and we are not able to do just because of some little hindrance. But if you can afford, go for it. If you can't afford, just try some other nursing bodies, because every week, every month, we talk about different nursing bodies registration that you can take part. And also don't forget the fact that there is an added benefit that if you become a nurse in New Zealand, you can also become a registered nurse in Australia within some few registration steps. Now, if you found this video useful, don't forget to give us a like, give us a comment, let us know how we are doing. Let me know the country that you want us to explore next. And also don't forget to check our playlist on the right hand corner here, which talks about nursing registration in so many countries. And also on the left hand corner, you're going to see a playlist for conferences for nurses and other professionals to attend. My name is Manuel. Take good care of yourself. See you in the next video. Bye bye.